Welcome back to Cosmos and Commerce. I'm Janis.
And I'm Michele.
Today we're talking about something that connects community, growth, and honestly, a kind of magic that I think people in Pickerington take for granted a little bit.
Libraries.
Yes, and not just books. We're talking about the role libraries play in shaping a community, supporting local businesses, and serving people at every single stage of life.
Oh, you know the place in town where literally everyone is welcome, it's always free, and somehow it just keeps getting better. Yeah, we got the guy who runs it. Tony Howard is the library director at Pickerington Public Library, and if you think libraries are just books and quiet rooms, buckle up. Tony has overseen a two-location operation serving more than 54,000 residents with over 208,000 visits last year, a nearly 200% spike in homework help, and a multi-phase expansion underway that includes a brand new branch and just opened outdoor pavilion.
Oh, and earlier this year, he rallied the entire community to fight a state budget proposal that would have gutted Ohio library funding by over $100 million and won. He's part CEO, part community organizer, part champion for the freedom to read, and we are so glad he's here.
Tony,
Tony, welcome to Cosmos and Commerce.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Tony, let's start with the original story because most people don't picture a library director as a career destination. What was the path that brought you here, and when did you know that this was your thing?
So I would have to say family, self-discovery, and leadership is what led me to this path. So family-wise, when I was going through college, my undergrad, and getting close to the end, my wife, Chris, asked me, what are you going to finally do when you grow up?
Huh.
And so, hinting that I needed to figure out a career, right? And so that led me to a path of self-discovery. I was going to OSU for taking history as my major, and originally I was going to be a teacher. I thought, oh, well, teaching is in my um, I have family members that are teachers, and I love to help people learn things, right? And I have, well, I have five children, and at the time I only had two, and I, enjoyed seeing their growth, and so that really led to choosing the library industry. However, my background, so as a veteran, I had leadership roles. I was in an airborne infantry company, and uh, became a communications chief for an airborne infantry company. After that, when I got out of the army, I was in management for Rite Aids while they were still here in Central Ohio,
Drugstore.
and so I've had leadership roles most of my life, and so when I worked my way up through Columbus Metropolitan Library and in various leadership roles before I became a director, because I knew I wanted to be in charge so I could make the best impact I could make.
Yeah. Thank you for your
oh,
service, by the way.
Thank you.
yes,
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Did you always love reading, or is it something that you found later on in life?
Interestingly enough, I struggled with reading as a kid. Um, yeah, and I was more interested in playing outside, playing sports and having fun, right? And so I grew up in that era where you drank out of the hose, and um, was outside until dark, and so um, reading wasn't a very big part of my childhood. I did it because I had to with school, right?
Yeah.
However, I have to tell you that when I joined the army, that kind of helped me realize that reading opens up a whole new world. And, uh, you know, we would deploy, and there would be a lot of downtime. It was always hurry up and wait. So, um, and there were some tough times in the Army. You get, there's the good with the bad. And so that was an easy way to escape and um, find other perspectives and learning. I mean, there was a lot of nonfiction type reading that, just learning it while I was in the Army. So that is when it really opened up my world to reading.
I have a funny story about reading in the military, okay? Joe was in the Air Force when I met him, and I am a huge reader, but he is not. And I was trying to like encourage him to read, and he said, there's this book going around the base. All the guys are reading it. I would read that with you. Let's order 2 copies and we can read it together. I said, okay. So we get it. We start reading it. I was like, Joe, this is erotica.
Oh, gosh.
I did not know. I was like, read then as I am right now, but we read it, had fun.
That's great. Oh,
Yeah.
And all the guys were reading it.
All the guys were reading it. Yeah, they
Oh my,
were enjoying it over
somehow it
there.
doesn't surprise me.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes, that is a story. So tell me, was there a moment, like a real light bulb moment, where you thought, this is it? This is what I'm meant to do?
So, um, when I actually started in libraries, I was still going to library school, but my first library job was as a teen library assistant at the Upper Arlington Public Library.
Mhm.
And part of that job was to do programming for high schoolers, and any teen that came into the library. And one of the things that really hit home for me was um, seeing the um, how impactful the programming that we did at the library had on the teens, watching them connect with that environment. It really made me realize that the work that we were doing mattered in a real way. And um, my boss at the time, the teen librarian, um, she she always said, and I think she borrowed this from somebody else, that if you don't take the time to teach teens the right thing to do, there's always going to be somebody out there that will teach them the wrong thing to do. And
Yeah.
so to me, that has stuck with me throughout my career. I have my 2 grown children. I made sure I was um, there for them, when they needed me, even if they were pushing me away. And now that they're in their 30s, they have kind of come back. So as you grow up. I get it. Teens, they want to be independent on their own, even in your 20s. But then as you start having your own family, you come back in. And so that's really what that aha moment of this is it. This is why I've done all the work to get to where I am and what's kept me in the business this long.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add about what drew you specifically to libraries over other paths in education or public service?
So, here's the thing. I'm all about learning, and I'm all about helping other people learn. And so, um, with my 2 grown kids were young when I started in my career, and won't tell you how old I am or how long I've been in, but it's been a while. And so when when they were young, um, it was really about um, teaching them, but then I had the chance to do story times and create programming, not just for teens, but even for younger children. And so that, um, and library story times, we call them early literacy classes here at Pickerington Library, but, and we call them that because that's what they are. We are teaching parents how to play with their children in a literate way. And so, but we're also teaching children the skills they need to be ready for kindergarten. And that education for our community really, really is impactful. And the public service side for me is I have always wanted to be helpful to anybody that I'm around. And so whether it's my family, my friends, or just neighbors, and to me, our community, that's our neighbors. And so it means a lot to me that I can give back and help everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about what this actually looks like from the inside, because I think people genuinely don't realize the operational complexity here. You've got 2 locations, a facilities team, HR, a board, a budget, programming, community partnerships. It's essentially a small business. What surprises people most when they find out what running a public library actually involves?
So, it's funny you ask. The the one thing I hear or I've heard throughout my career is, you mean you don't get to sit around and read all day? There there are so many people that think that all a librarian does, and even a library director, is sit around and read. I wish I had time to read here. My
Right.
reading comes late at night. Um, I or when I'm in a car listening to an audiobook, right? But that is I would say the biggest thing people are surprised about when they hear about um, everything that I do in my role is that I don't often get to read a whole lot.
And speaking of your role, like, what does a typical day look like for you? Is there a typical day?
So unfortunately, I have a lot of meetings, um, and it could be. So I lead the strategy of the organization. The board sets the strategy and I lead it, right? And so it could be where I end up um, meeting with my managers for an hour or two on what they're working on, and then um, bringing them up to speed on where we are on certain projects. It could be now that we're in building design for the relocation of the branch. Um, I have building meetings that factor into that. Some of it is policy work where I have to sit down and look at our policies, our board. Um, um, their preferences that, 3 to 5 years at the most for our policies. So I have to make sure that those older ones are up to date. So there's a lot of research involved in that to make sure that we're following laws, that making sure that um, we're within industry standard on certain things, and that we're taking care of the policies support our mission and vision and public use of the facilities while being staff friendly, right? So it's different every day, but it is a lot of meetings because it could be working with the schools um, in the, on we have a Read With Me event coming up um, for summer reading. That's a partnership with the school district and the YMCA. So, it could be a meeting like that, or it could be a chamber meeting where I'm like Wednesday Connects, where I'm meeting with community leaders in the business community, hearing what they have going on and sharing what we have going on. So it's a number of different things.
We touched on the numbers a little bit. Visits up 6.5%, computer use up 22%, homework help interactions up nearly 200% in a single year. Wild. What's driving that kind of growth, and what does it tell you about what Pickerington actually needs right now?
So, um, I'd like to say having a great team drives that growth because I do have a great
Yeah.
team, and I will call them out on that. They work very hard, but uh, people. I think it shows that people need community space. Um, they need trusted information, and we are. I like to say our reference staff are digital reference experts. Um, we and they also people need human connection. I think that we have seen um, a rediscovering of what modern libraries really are. We're not just places for books. We're a place for community engagement, lifelong learning, workforce support. If you need a resume, you come to the library. We can get you some help to get that resume. It's a place for creativity. You if you have something you want 3D printed, you can do it at the library. We also have Cricut. So if you have a design you want to put on a t-shirt, you can come here and work with our team and work with the Cricut and make a design for your t-shirt. You can do all kinds of stuff here at the library that go beyond just the getting a book. We have moved past books here at the library. And at the end of the day, it tells me that the library is meeting the real needs of our community, and it reinforces why investing in strong public libraries matters.
I was surprised. I'm actually amazed at what all the library does in a good way.
Puzzles
Thank
It's
and games. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's everything. So Tony, as a realtor, I can tell you when people are looking to put down their roots, community infrastructure matters enormously. Have you seen the library's growth reflect or even influence what's happening in the broader Pickerington area?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I think that the library's growth is reflective of the community growth, right? Uh, the demand for educational support, technology access. We have staff on staff that are just focused on teaching technology. And that's for businesses and for individuals. We get grandparents that get a new device for Christmas and they don't know how to use it, and they schedule time with our technology trainer, right? It's also community spaces. We have businesses and we have individuals that come and use our meeting space, like our new Discovery Pavilion. While we have a lot of stuff planned, a lot of programming planned in the Discovery Pavilion here soon, as we make our final plans now that we've opened it up, you as the public can reserve that space for whatever kind of event. If you have a birthday party or graduation's coming up, you want a space for graduation party, you can reserve that space. Or if you just have a group that gets together and you want a nice covered space to enjoy the outside, that's going to be a beautiful space that you can rent it no cost from the library and get we have chairs and tables that you can put out. Um, so to me that's exciting. And I would say second, we the library really strengthens the local economy and our quality of life in our community. One of the things that I often talk about and that we are really focused on this year is sharing the economic impact that libraries have. So for the library, we know just by looking at the data, we have a formula that we update annually. Um, and we started this year what we call the 445 difference. So for every $1 of taxpayer money that we spend, that the library spends, that's about $4.45 that is freed up for community members to spend anywhere else in the community. And and that's on, so that factors in. So instead of you buying a book, you reserve it from the library and check it out, or an online audio book. If you, like me, and listen to books in the car when you're going from meeting to meeting, um, I don't have to pay for that through Audible. I can just reserve or rent it from the library and listen to it for free, and then I can spend that money somewhere else at a local business or whatnot. And so, that economic impact is big. And then I'd lastly think that um, libraries help create connection. As our community is growing, people, and as a realtor like you, um, when you're trying to sell a property or a house, you want to have the ability to say, this is what you will enjoy about the community. And whether it's a parent that has a child and they want to connect with other parents with children, they can come to early literacy classes, book groups. We've got like, I can't remember how many now, but like 8 or 9 different book groups alone that either meet here at the library or out in the community. Um, and like we have one at Source of Coffee and one at Combustion Brewery. And so, that's an ideal way to create that connection for people in the community. And it's regardless of age, background, perspective. It's a way to get um, people together.
I just recently learned that you guys also do cooking classes
Yes.
at the branch. I know. I was
Yeah.
going to do one of those. When I saw that, I was like, wow, I love that.
Yes. When we expanded our branch, I think it's almost been 2 years now. Um, there was a kitchenette in the public area, and originally we were going to take it out.
Uh-huh.
And our board president, Christy Hammond, when we walked through it, she said, "You know what would be cool if we could do some cooking classes? We do other programming." And so,
Yeah.
yeah, we left it in, and it's popular. It does have some challenges, but it's also a fun way to bring people together.
Yeah. I love that.
Awesome. Let's talk about what's coming because this is a pretty big moment. You just opened the Discovery Pavilion we talked about, and you're planning a main branch renovation and building a whole new branch. Walk us through the vision. What does this expansion mean for the community?
Well, I think what it means to me is that we're investing in the future of Pickerington. With that rapid growth in the community, and I know a lot of people talk about that all the time. I think we have a responsibility as a taxpayer-funded organization to find meaningful ways to meet the community's needs. And we have to, we take pride in being responsible with taxpayer funds, right? I feel like we are good stewards of taxpayer funds. And so, the Discovery Pavilion, that really um, reflects the evolving needs of the community and shows that um, the community has evolved past our indoor traditional library space. And so now with the Discovery Pavilion, we can serve them outside. Um, Whereas the new branch location is about making sure that we have that welcoming, flexible space that supports not only families, but it supports students, businesses, lifelong learners, and even the future generations of our community, right? Uh, and um, at the end of the day, um, in my opinion, at the end of the day, a strong library builds a strong community. And so that investment in people who live here is one of the most important things that we can do.
Tony, how do you even decide what to tackle first on a project that size?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. So I think it comes down to what the community impact and long-term sustainability will be. Those are two key factors in making those decisions, and what will best meet the needs of the community now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. What is that? What does that look like? And so, we look at data. We're a data-driven organization. When we make decisions, if I have a leader that comes to me, I was telling one of my newer leaders today, uh, if you bring something to me, you better bring the data with you, because I'm going to ask, well, what does this, if it, self checkouts, this is might be a little thing, right? So you come to the library to check out books. We have self checkouts. You can scan it yourself, print a slip out, and you're done, and you can go. It's quick and easy, right? And one of the questions was, well, do people really use all of the self checkouts? I think we should get rid of this one in the children's area. I don't think people use it. And my response is, what's the data show us? We have
Right.
data analytics, right? Because each self checkout costs money, right? We have to have the money for the machine, the money to operate the operating system. And so we really are data driven. And so if the data shows that we need it, then that's the route we go. If the data shows we don't, then we look at a different direction. Community feedback is a big thing. We do surveying and things like that. And so for me, I could sit here, being in this industry for over 2 decades, I could sit here and tell you what I think you need. But what's more important is for you to tell me what you need. And then I respond to that and say, okay, yes, that makes sense. Because I think we'd have to meet halfway in the middle, right? Because sometimes you don't know what you need, because you don't know what's out there. And being part of the industry for as long as I have, I know what's out there, but I got to listen to you as the community member, and that's so important. There's other things that go into, so our facilities master plan last year when we did that, and that took over a year process. When we did that facilities master plan, one of the things that it told us is we needed more space at both locations. Well, how do you decide? How do you make that tough decision to say, um, either yes, we're going to do it all, um, or do we do it chunks at a time? And so I think, we had to look at operational realities of what was going on. Funding was a big thing, right? And 'cause how are we going to pay for it? At about right now in the construction industry for commercial um, buildings, it's about $1,000 a square foot. Uh, that means, and our facilities master plan told us that we needed about 50,000 more square feet to serve this community correctly, and appropriately. And so that told us we need about 10,000 more square feet here at Main Library and 40,000 for the branch, right? Well, I can tell you $40 million, that's a big ask for the community. That's a lot of money. And, as a taxpayer myself, I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. And so, um, when we sat down with the board and had this a very serious discussion, um, number one, it was, what does that look like? Because we will need help from the taxpayers, right? And our funding is split in half for public libraries. We get half of our funding from, or almost half from the state through the Public Library Fund, and the rest through local levy or donations and grants. And out of your tax bill, on average, the average taxpayer, their property taxes, only 2.4% of your property taxes come to the library. The rest go to other organizations. So 2.4%, that's a pretty small portion of your overall taxes that go to libraries. And so we know that increasing that brings that amount up, but it also puts a burden on our community. And so um, we had to factor in our current aging facilities, right? And the fact that we pay $120,000 a year to rent the current Sycamore Plaza Library branch space.
Mhm.
That's a lot of money. And having our own facility, we can then divert that $120,000 a year into the maintenance and upkeep of operating that owned library owned facility. And so that's just being, in our mind, being good stewards of taxpayer funds.
Mhm.
But what it really boils down to is um, listening before building, right? We have to listen, we have to observe the data, listen to our community members, and then that determines the decisions that we're making.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so smart that you get the community involved and listen to the feedback. A lot of people skip that step. So, what did you learn from those conversations that you couldn't have possibly gotten any other way?
So, what we really learned is that our community didn't want bigger buildings. It wasn't about we want bigger buildings. It's we heard that from the community that they want spaces that help them feel connected. They want spaces that help them feel supported in what they needed, and that they feel welcome when they come into those spaces, because there are community members that go into different places and they don't always feel welcome. And then we also learned that different groups had different priorities, right? Which I wasn't totally surprised about, um, but they wanted places for families. They wanted places for teens to go. And if you've ever been in either library location after 2:30 p.m., here at Maine, it is not uncommon for us to have anywhere from 50 to 200 teens in the
Mhm.
library.
Wow.
Um, and what stood out to me, I guess, was that how personal the library is to people. Everybody had their own independent, different story that really led to that common theme of feeling connected and supported. So so that led to us working with our architect for designing a space around human needs and community impact more than focusing on that 40,000 square feet that the data showed that we needed. We're at about 28,000 square feet for the branch.
Mhm.
And we're holding expansion of main library right now for a secondary project after the branch is built. But as we design the branch, we are designing it to be able to expand um, the branch at some point in time, because we do know right now, we have over 54,000 people in our service area. Um, and that's not going to stop growing anytime soon. So, uh,
Mm-mm.
and every time new growth happens in the community, um, it stretches the services we provide, and um, because use is not going down, as you noted earlier, the use of the library is not going down.
Yeah. And you talked about the funding here a little bit ago. And earlier this year, you were publicly advocating against the state budget proposal that would have cut Ohio library funding by over $100 million. You
Right.
rallied your community, you got results. What did that experience teach you about leadership and what a community is capable of when it shows up?
Well, I want to make sure that we're clear that the state did still cut our funding some. It wasn't,
Oh,
yes, they cut all libraries. It wasn't as much as
As
the total
proposed.
100 million that they were looking at.
Hmm.
So to me, that's a win, definitely, right? Um, 100% win. Um, now, I wish they wouldn't have changed the way PLF is and made the cuts that they had made, but it wasn't as devastating to libraries as it could have been. And it showed that libraries matter to the community. It showed that effective leadership really starts with listening and educating and staying focused on the mission rather than what the political issue is. Because, with the state funding cuts, there were some political games being played and politics really came into it, but we didn't focus on the politics side. We communicated clearly. We asked that when you reached out to your um, representative and senator that you stayed respectful and focused on the facts and
Hmm.
what that community input pact was, and people came together because uh, to them, to our communities, libraries matters, and I'm very thankful that we have such a supportive community. Um, for a two library system, and we're about a mid-sized library system when it comes to libraries around the state. Um, with a two branch library system and the community that we serve, we have an extremely supportive community. And libraries, the Ohio Library Council recently did um, survey, a survey using a national firm to survey Ohioans. And what we found is um, libraries are one of the most trusted institutions we have in this state.
Yeah.
And um, I want
But
to strive for that as the leader of our Pickerington Public Library. I do strive to be a trusted institution. I make sure that we are clear and transparent. And when there are issues and I need support from my community, I can say, this is what's going on. And they respond in this overwhelmingly positive way. And that to me meant a lot for the
mhm.
community to say, we care, we're going to tell our leaders in Columbus, this is this is what we need for our libraries.
I love it.
yeah, that's great. What's the biggest thing in What's the biggest thing people in Pickerington don't realize the library actually offers? Like, what's the hidden gem?
So to me, the hidden gems really are um, our library of things. So our library of things collection. In that library of things, and I know that kind of sounds weird, that's like the non-traditional items, right? So we have nature backpacks that encourage families and individuals to get out there in nature and explore in different ways. And in those that has the print materials, the books you would need to learn. So if you took out the birding kit or the trees and leaves kit. It has books to be able to identify those things while you were out there. So
Hmm.
the birding kit has binoculars, and it has a stand that you can hook your cell phone up to and take, stationary pictures. Um, it has the butterfly kit, has nets. There's a creeking kit. You can go into the creek and catch the um, um, any of the living things that live in a creek and learn about that. Um,
Mm.
we have memory care kits, and I have to tell you, our memory care kits have become one of the most popular items we have. And the memory care kits are intended to help not only those with memory issues, but their caregivers as well.
Yeah.
Um, and so we've seen a huge impact with that. We have traffic cones that you can check out if you're teaching your kid how to drive and they need to learn how to parallel park. You can
Good.
Oh,
check those out. We just purchased a karaoke machine that will
oh,
be circulating, and it's not like the small karaoke machine. This thing is big. It's about
Wow.
knee high. It's about 2 feet tall. Um, it's really cool. My sons, when I was talking about it, they're like, "Oh, when we have a party this summer, we're gonna have to check it out from the library and do karaoke." I'm like, "That's all you, buddy." Uh, but um,
That's and
board games, I think Michelle talked about board games. We were one of the first libraries in the region to circulate board games. And here's the thing, people think about this and they go, oh, well, does why is the library checking out or circulating board games? Well, there's a lot of literacy aspects to playing a board game.
mm,
Uh, and not only literacy, but math. Some of
math.
a
Yeah.
lot of math skills, right?
Yes.
So, in addition, it supports mental health and well-being. It gets you out of just being alone and isolated, right? So it reduces isolation, and get you to socialize with people. And so, um, giving people access to those resources really, in my personal opinion, help improve the quality of life of our community.
When I was a kid growing up, we played board games all the time. Of course, that was way before phones and
Yep,
we didn't even watch TV that much. So, I mean, it brings families together too, I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish
Absolutely.
that was around when I was a kid. All those things. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
How does the life serve people differently at different stages in life? Young families, working professionals, retirees? Is it a one size fits all experience or something more tailored than that?
Definitely not a one size fits all. We have, well, I guess you could say it's a one size fits all, but because we're open to all, we have to find ways to serve everyone. And so, whether it be, um, families with young children, whether it be teens, adults, retirees, um, we definitely strive to figure out ways we can serve families in different ways, from our study spaces to that go into meeting room spaces and conference rooms, the job resources that we provide. Um, you know, we try to find a way to engage with the community where they are and with what they need. Um, like, so consumer reports, we have a ton of different databases, and in my opinion, they go underused quite a bit, and our staff work to promote those. But um, we're all busy and we have busy lives, right? But with those databases, we have databases like consumer reports where, if you're looking to buy something for a family member for Christmas or a birthday, and you want to know what the best one is, you can go on the library's website and log into with your library card, which is free, and use consumer reports to
Hmm.
do a little research to find what's the best one. Or if you need new tires, right, for your car, you can go on for free and say, what's the best tire? I'm looking for something that is
Hmm.
Um, all weather, that fits my car. What are the, give me what are the best tires? And you can look that up. That way, before you go spend the money, you get exactly what you want and need. Um, and so,
That's a
and
better
it's,
way than Googling it nowadays because when you Google, you never know if the people are like in it for themselves trying to get money from the company.
well,
Yeah.
and
And
you're absolutely right. A lot of people, I call it the Google box, right? A lot of people just do the Google box, and with AI out there, you think you're getting that reputable information. However, with your taxpayer dollars, what we do is we find the reputable resources, and we contract with them to offer them for free to the community. And I say for free, it's not for free. You're paying for it. You've already
yeah,
paid for it. So use it, right? You've paid for it with your taxes, whether you're a homeowner or a business owner. If you own property, and the library can only receive property taxes, if you own property, you've already paid for it. If
yeah,
you've gone to a business and paid sales tax on something, our state funding, that comes from the state, um, is directly from sales tax. So whether you've paid sales tax on something through the state that comes to us, or your property taxes, that 2.4% of your property taxes, that little bit goes to help pay for all these things that I've talked about today, um, and all the electronic resources. So use them, right? And if you're not sure, that's why we have such great staff that are just waiting for people to come in and say, I need help,
they're just
right?
waiting there to help you.
Absolutely.
Really.
I so I gotta reach over here to share this with you because so I just talked with the school board, right? And one of the things um, that I wanted to share with you is that um, so I was looking at last levy time. We have a levy on the ballot in the fall, okay? And one of the things that I was looking at the last time we put a levy on, um, which was in 2018, to now, we have seen 178% increase in reference interactions. And so what that means is people coming in and asking reference questions. I need help finding this, or I need books on this, or I'm doing research for my college class and I need more information. Um, what resources do you have? Those types of questions. That is a huge increase from 2018 to today. Just a phenomenal, over 40,000 reference interactions, um, last year alone. So that's huge.
Yeah, it is.
That's huge. Yeah.
Um, okay, so you've been pretty vocal about intellectual freedom, the right to access information, the freedom to read without someone deciding what's appropriate for you. In a community like Pickerington, how do you navigate that? And what would you say to local business owners about having the courage to stand for something publicly?
Well, you asked the right person that, in my opinion, because so I currently have the honor of serving as the chair of the Ohio Library Council's Intellectual Freedom Committee.
Hmm.
Um, and, libraries around the country are facing challenges to specific books, and programs. And we get our occasional challenge to a book or a program here. Um, for libraries, and public libraries in general, we're here for everyone. We're not in loco parentis, so when somebody's child comes to the library, they it's up to the parent to monitor how their child uses the library and what they check out. We respect those parent rights, right? Business owners, on the other hand, they're trying to run a business, and I get it. You got to run a business and you want to keep those customers coming back. So if you take the stance on one side or the other on a topic, you could alienate part of your business, right? I totally get that.
Yeah.
100% get that. And so, in my opinion, I think you have to lead with your values as a business leader, while still treating people with respect. I mean, not every issue needs to be a political issue, but there are moments when it's important to speak up, um, especially if your values tell you it's the well-being of your employees, the well-being of your customers, or the well-being of the community as you see it, right? I think you do have an obligation that you should speak up, um, but you have to do it in a way that treats people with respect, because when you do, you run the risk of alienating a portion of your client base.
Mhm.
Um, and for some business owners, that's going to be all right. Others, it's not, and so they'll choose not to speak up. But um, it has to be in an authentic way, where that respect, honesty, and consistency. Stick with you know, what your values tell you to, and know that you want them, I think, in my opinion, you want them to know that you have a genuine commitment to serving the community, um, but you're not going to compromise on your personal beliefs and personal values. I don't know if
Yeah.
that helps you or not, but that's
Yeah. No, that's a good answer. So, Tony, where do you see libraries going over the next 10 to 20 years? There's so much pressure from digital, streaming, AI, everything at your fingertips. What's the library's answer to that?
Well, we've seen a 148% increase since 2018 for
Hmm.
digital circulation, right? That's huge. It's huge. And so we see it too. And I get the question, oh, books are going away, everything's going digital. I still get a lot of people that say, oh, I like the physical, I like to hold the book, I like the smell of the book.
Yeah.
But um, you know, for for libraries over the next 10, 20 years, it really comes down to um, providing that trusted information, being more than just the Google box or the AI bot that's out there that gives you that answer right away that might and might not be right, right? And so providing those flexible um, learning spaces, places for people to connect. Um, that human connectivity is huge. One of the things the pandemic showed us is that our society took a huge toll on that human connection piece.
Yeah.
And I think we're still struggling to get back with that. But I think, the future of libraries is going to be a blend. It's going to be a blend of technology, education, and wellness, um, community engagement, and doing those in a way, we're starting to see that now. But I think it's going to evolve, like when it's going to evolve the libraries. So when the pandemic hit, I really had to look at our traditional business model and how people were using the library and how they were using the library post pandemic. Um, and we changed it, and that we brought outreach services. We bought the Library on the Go vehicle, and we're
Hmm.
out and about at a lot of community events now. Um, um, and so we're going where people are. And so if we're going to stay relevant, we have to continue to keep our finger on the pulse of the community and evolve as the community evolves. We have to be the community's library and not just the library we think the community needs.
Nice.
What do you think is one thing that should never change no matter how digital we get?
The human side of libraries, the people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, um, AI automates a lot of things, but we have to stay a welcoming place for people to come access information for free. We have to continue to encourage lifelong learning, which is part of our mission, right? Um, and we have to continue to serving our community with dignity and respect. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, where you're from in the world, or in this community. Um, we have to continue to show that we are serving you with dignity and respect. One of the things that we are great at here at Pickerington, so we work with a company called Culture City, and to become certified every year. So we are a sensory inclusive certified organization. And so all of our staff go through training on how to work with members of the community that have special needs, um, and whether it be a physical need or a cognitive need, we have the tools where we know how to help you. And we also have programming around that for adults and for children. And so when we build this branch, we're planning a sensory room because we know there are children. So I will share a little personal about me. So one of my sons has autism and Tourette syndrome. And when he goes out and about, he can get overwhelmed,
Mhm.
especially when there's chaos, whether it's controlled or not. And when we had the Discovery Pavilion um, ribbon cutting, he was here that day because he just had it was teacher in service day for he goes to a special needs school, and um, he said, I'm going in the library for a little bit. Because, he was here, he helped out with setting up the ribbon cutting, but it just got too much. And so he disappeared. And so after the ribbon cutting, I'm like, oh, I need to go check on him. So I come into the building, he's not in here. I can't find him anywhere. And one of my staff members said, well, did you check your office? Because he may have gone back there. And he did. He came back here because it was quiet.
Right.
And so I get it, I understand. And so one of the spaces that we're planning at the new location is a sensory room where parents can take their children, but we also have groups that come in with the adult groups. And if one of those adult customers needed a quiet space for a little bit, they could go in there into the sensory room that would have what they needed to help them um, um, ground themselves and get back to um, a place where they can go back out into the library. And so um, that personal touch, I think, is something that we can never change, or we won't be our true library selves anymore.
Yeah. So for the library here, what's your vision for the library the next 5 years? And what do you feel the success would look like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think we've talked about it quite a bit um, already, but it's really how we grow alongside the community, um, continue to remain financially sustainable um, by making data-driven decisions, being innovative and bringing the newest um, technologies to the community, and then also staying deeply connected to the people we serve, and that's you all, right? So
Yeah.
we have to do that, and that's not only short term, but that's long term. We have to stay an essential part of our community's life.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, Tony, we're switching gears. Speed
Okay.
round. Speed round, no overthinking, just go with your gut. Here we
Okay,
go.
ready? Here
Yeah.
we go.
Physical book or audiobook?
Can I answer both?
Sure.
It depends on if I'm in the car or not, right? If I'm in the car, it's audiobook. Well,
Yeah.
no. Okay, I'll lean to audiobook on that.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, bookmark, dog-eared page. Be honest.
Bookmark. Don't ruin a book.
Bookmark.
That's the
Okay.
librarian coming out of me,
Yeah. Don't harm the book.
right?
Fiction or nonfiction?
Um, I really like fiction, um, but I'm not opposed to a good nonfiction book.
Okay. One book you think every person should read in Pickerington or
That's
everywhere.
a tough question because it's different for different age groups, right? And so for
Mm.
me, I think everyone should read The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt.
Mm.
That's the adults that really focuses on um, supporting your children and raising your children. Um, um, but if you ask me if it were teens, to me it would be Red Badge of Courage. Um, by Stephen Crane, right? And so just being beyond the classic, it's really about fear. It's about courage and growth and internal battles that people face. And as a veteran and somebody who spent much of their life in service-oriented leadership roles, those themes really, that's what's important to me. And so that's why if it's teens, that's what I'm gonna say, plus, I love the book, right? And then for for children, um, it depends on the age of the children, but um, the older kids, you can't go wrong with the Harry Potter series, right?
Mm.
I love that series. I'm a series kind of guy. Um, and then for children of younger ages, Mo Willems. Elephant and Piggy books. I'm telling you, Elephant, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, those types of books. Fantastic, fantastic books.
Oh,
Um, so, so that was more than a lightning
And a
round
speed
quick
round.
answer,
yeah.
but
That's
it
Kind of
was a
sounds
loaded
like the
question. Don't ask a librarian about books.
but one book. Yeah.
Oh,
it kind of sounds like the anxious generation might be good for me to read as a boss because I'm employing a lot of those in the anxious generation, it feels like.
Mm.
I really feel, for I think everybody should read that book. That is
Okay.
and not because the authors or publishers paying me, but
Because they
it
are.
just, yeah, right. No, but it's a good book for everyone. Yeah, you
Okay.
you would get a
Added to
lot
my
out of it.
list.
Awesome.
Okay.
Library silence or a little background buzz?
You got to have that little background buzz. We are not the library of your childhood, so um,
No
um,
shh.
yeah, you can't have a community space, and you can't have 50 to 200 kids in the building with all the little conversations. It's a roar. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So coffee while reading?
well,
Yes or no?
absolutely. You
Yeah.
should know that. I'm all about. Well, right
Coffee.
here.
Yeah.
There's my coffee at one
Early morning.
in the afternoon.
Oh,
Yep.
Go ahead.
early morning reading or late night reading
Late night reading.
Okay.
with coffee.
Tony, if you're ready for a book, what would the title be?
If I were a book, it'd be
If
called
your
the
life were a book, what would your title? What
yeah,
would the title?
it'd be called to serve. I have my faith in the Lord, my service background, from being in the army, being a husband and a father, leading libraries. It's all a common thread, is that service. So I'd say called to serve.
Okay.
Awesome. And here's the big final one. If if the library were a cocktail, what would be in it and what would you call it?
Well, it would be a Long Island iced tea.
A
Oh,
little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it has multiple liquors combined together, different ingredients that I don't know, they somehow work together. Um,
yeah.
it's strong. It's stronger and it's more layered than people expect. And so, you start out small, but then next thing you know, it hits you. And so that's a public library right there. Come on. And so, yep, a Long Island iced tea. There you go.
That's a perfect
Awesome.
answer. Okay, Tony, this has been such a fantastic conversation.
Mhm.
Thank you for being here and sharing what you're building for the community. We've really enjoyed talking with you.
It
Thank you
really is
so much. I
remarkable.
appreciate you
Yeah.
having me. This has been fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tony. Tell us how people can find you and the library.
Okay, so we have 4 locations. I like to say our 2 locations: Pickerington, Maine, which is across from Central High School; Sycamore Plaza Library Branch, which is across from North High School. We have our library website at pickeringtonlibrary.org. We have a mobile app. Um, so Pickerington Public Library, right? Mobile app. And then uh, if you ever want to contact me, thoward at pickeringtonlibrary.org, I would love to talk to you. Or you can call the library at 614 837 4104.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
We'll link everything in the show notes, both
Yeah.
locations, the expansion,
Yep.
how to get involved.
Yep.
And honestly, you guys, if you haven't been to the public library yet, the Pickerington Public Library lately, let this be your sign. There's so much more than you would ever think.
Thank you for joining us on Cosmos and Commerce.
Where the community meets possibility.
We will see
All
you
right.
next
We'll
time.
see you next time.
Thank you, Tony.